You came here to be you. Every human knows there's something unknowable inside them. Whether you call it your soul, your higher self, the divine in human form, or just your untapped potential. No matter what you call it, you have something that wants to come through you and for you to see it come out. That's what we come here for, to witness that unexpressed, dormant magic within come into physical reality. That's what people mean when they say you came here to remember that you are God or the universe in human form. By you accepting the dare of a lifetime to dedicate your precious time and energy to pulling your specific mix of gifts and traits out of you, you are awed at how what comes out continues to get even cooler than you even thought. And it confirms that you definitely are more than just a meat suit. There's also an outside force at work. Whether it's the laws of physics or God or the universe, we all know there's an intelligent framework in place, holding life together. And in the intersection of your soul and the outside world, you start to want things, to play in this material world and bring certain things on the menu into your life. And the universe gives us these wants to propel us and throw us into this game of life, to hopefully go get these things. And it makes you want those things, not because of the things, but as a means to an end. In the process of moving towards a life you want, you face trials and challenges, and those are there for the specific purpose of creating circumstances that make you change something about yourself or the way you think and do things. And those challenges can range from subtle nudges to times we don't even have another choice. These tricky things are always on your side. Always know what they're doing to get you to your next level of being. The wants are just the shiny carrots to move you forward in becoming who you came here to be. That's why manifesting is not really the ultimate goal, because getting what you want is cool, but becoming someone you're proud of and awed by in the process is the thing that feels 100 times sweeter. It's also what makes the having of the stuff even more enjoyable when you get it as your favorite version of self. Your challenges are custom designed to your specific journey of being the best expression of you. This is why what you find triggering or scary is someone else's walk in the park, and vice versa. It's all perfectly designed. Your hard is your divine assignment. If you're a fragment of God, your friend is also a fragment, and together we make up the whole. But a different fragment means different tasks of what to express. In order for you to really remember you are the light, you have to become the most accurate representation of what sits inside you. If you are a skilled communicator inherently, there's no point trying to shy away from flexing that out of fears or false beliefs, nor to push yourself to become gifted at something else because that's what you believe is better. Your lot is perfect. Your lot is exactly what will lead you right to your dreams, without you even being able to figure out how the dots will connect. And your lot, if you commit to it, will get to new heights our currently limited world doesn't even know yet is coming. When we try to do a different kind of lot, the universe, again with its nudges, will try to get us back into our lot. You can get to other lots, but they'll never get you the same places and definitely not the same feeling of fulfillment and self-awe that your lot will. This is where human design comes in. It's an external measuring tool that, black and white, without emotion, helps you see your lot. Maybe for the first time in such a confusing world, telling us constantly how to be in order to be successful, to be loved, or to belong. To see your essence clearly, separate from the one-size-fits-all blueprints that frankly let all of us down, gives you the map so you know what to head towards. All of a sudden, the noise and the shoulds have a chance to fall away because we can measure what's actually us and what's not. The truth is we get everything we dream of when we decide this life is worth just seeing how radically ourselves, unique and previously unseen we can become, and dare to follow our internal blueprint that our soul chose for us before we came here. If that's indeed what the higher intelligence wants, to watch you express a specific fragment of its magnificence that is only implanted in you, well, giving you all the good things you want is the easy part. And it's also its way of telling you, honey, you're on the right path. Keep going. This is working. You already have magnificence inside you, and not because you are special, but because that's part of the role of being human. You owe it to yourself to spend this life putting it into practice. Becoming a person you dream of being is the ultimate manifestation. Deconditioning. The day you were born, you were already living as your real self. It wasn't on purpose. It was just as unthought through as breathing. If you were left to your own devices, you'd naturally carry on doing that from then on. This would be the perfect way of being and doing to get you where you want to go. But since then, the world has told you that you have to be X to be loved, or Y to be cool, or respected, or successful. All of that outside advice and shoulds and witnessing what makes other people shine has pulled us out of what makes us shine. So the journey of living as your real self, your higher self, isn't actually about becoming anything new, but about unbecoming everything you were told to be in the first place. Not about forcing yourself to be something you're just inherently not, but shedding all that you're not so that actually knowing and seeing your own magnificence becomes an actual possibility. All strands of spiritual wisdom say you're inherently gifted, powerful, and worthy, but you have to give yourself the fighting shot of even being able to see it. Your gifts, your uniqueness, your skills, they can get to heights and expressions the world hasn't seen yet. Heights your brain or my brain can't even conceive yet. So we can't look to the current reality for clues on how to get there. It's just ill-equipped and will always fall short on giving us that. It will always tell us to do something it has already witnessed and known. Conditioning is all the stuff you became that was never really you to begin with. Your real self didn't go anywhere, and it will be right there in front of you, showing you its essence when you take off all the layers that accrued on top of it. We all think we have to figure out what our authentic self looks like, but actually we just need to stop doing and believing what's unauthentic to us and watch what the soul wants to do when we give it breathing room. Your essence is already perfect and strong and defined, and you don't even have to control it or create it or mastermind it. You came in with it. Your essence always knows the most aligned way for you to do anything. The bravest thing you can do is believe this gift of being alive deserves to be spent backing what your essence says, rather than giving it over to the belief that you will have a better life if you keep contorting who you are. The process of showing up as your real self is a daily devotion, because every situation of life is an invitation in disguise, a chance to opt out of any molds and shoulds, status quo, taught ways, normal ways, all the ways you show up that you picked up any other way than it coming organically to you. And in opting out, you've opened up space to ask, how would I naturally do this if I had a blank slate? How would I secretly dream to do this if I could, and still get the outcomes I dream of? Deconditioning is not a one and done thing. Not only do we have decades of layers to unpeel, but also because wherever you put your eyes today has the potential of conditioning you if you let it. You break its hold when you see that the idea there's one perfect way to do life that you just need to ascribe to is just an illusion. When you realize that just because it's someone else's way, or someone else's belief, or society's belief, it might not be a match for your own perfect way of being. You have to see the messaging that says, this is what's cool, this is what will make you belong and be liked by others, this will make you like the idea of yourself, and simply opt out. Because you know that there's another way, which is to be led by your insides. And there's no pre-existing template for your soul's instruction manual. And you are the only person who can ever give yourself the permission slip to listen to your natural, organic self over the other stuff, no matter how loud it gets, or how confident or together or beautiful or thriving other people seem to be as they're giving you that advice. The best part is you don't have to know all of your conditioning or undo all of it in one go. You just have to trust that life is going to create the perfect next situation that will show you the perfect next thing to opt out of or decondition from, and that that's the best one to put your attention on. That's the one that will move you and your life forward most right now. Life has the curriculum. You just need to watch what it brings with the right lenses on. It's very subtle, self-honest work. Noticing whenever you think to do something because others are doing it, so that it means you should too, or are mimicking it from a place of lack, needing to belong or be admired, or like the idea of what that actually makes you, rather than choose it because it seems like something that actually reflects you. And when you notice those tempting thoughts, to gently say to your soul, you only have to do what's really you. That's your only and highest job. The status quo or normal or majority is not even a real concept. It lives in our minds, and it keeps all of us a smallened, dampened version of expressing what our most radically authentic, creative, original selves could be and do and manifest. And these lies about how to be dissolve when more of us decide they don't have any value compared to what each of us's inside manual can do for ourselves, but also for the world. We try to fit in because we think that's the way to feel loved and to feel like we belong. But ironically, you will experience the most feeling of being loved, lovable, worthy when you're being your real self, because people are loving your real self rather than your conditioned persona. And being loved for anything less than the real or true you doesn't hit as deeply. We all want to feel seen by others, but also by ourselves. Let's try and give people the chance to see us. Trust your essence. The universe doesn't waste energy. It doesn't go to all that trouble and energy to create you if there isn't a specific objective or intent behind you coming here and doing a life. And before it sends you here, with that intent in mind, it embeds all the equipment you need for this ride into you. It makes certain things come easy to you. We call those gifts, because you're meant to be one of the people doing those things. That's what you are allocated to do. And in contrast, the things you're not meant to be doing don't come easy to you, because that's the way you can always find direction on what kinds of skills and gifts you're meant to make the focus of your life. And it's a perfect system really, because in the mind of cosmic intelligence, the roles we're each allocated fit perfectly together to create a very symbiotic, beautifully functioning whole. The problem is we've been taught that some roles are more likely to make us successful. For example, maybe the world has drilled into you that it's better to try to be good at strategizing than developing your nurturing abilities. But imagine a very successful president who people love so much because of how much he cares. Or owning a party planning business where you funnel that nurture into each occasion. We then see these as assets. But there isn't anyone around us saying it's okay to double down on what you are and opt out of that futile climb that is trying to be anything else. So we contort ourselves to try to have certain qualities, believing that we need something other than what we are to guarantee a good life. But in doing so, we abandon our natural toolkit, the one that's best equipped to help you rise, and in the path of least resistance. You'll get there fastest when you look at your toolkit and back it with all you've got. It's not even about being special. It's not about anything you did or didn't earn. Part of the whole being human thing is that everyone has their own perfect toolkit, which has the ability to make you become exceptional. And it is your more direct path to excellence. There is no sounder plan. It's just how life works. You have ineffable gifts. They are on loan to you in this life, and part of what you agreed to do was do right by them, animate them, and shine them out into the world whilst you're here. It's like you have the perfect code inside that will lead you to the best destination your soul could possibly walk in this life. You don't have to write this code or manuscript because the universe is a far better writer than you. You just need to print your accurate code. Print it in a way that today is asking of you, and intend to do it day after day. Where human design is so helpful is it shows you what gifts are in you that make up your essence, so that you can narrow your focus to cultivating those, rather than stay in the mind story that you need to be good at 100 other things. If you're in a place in your life where you don't feel your worth, that's okay. This is the journey of dissolving your ego that either tells you you're either extra special or not special at all, when in reality we are all soberingly equal. You don't realize your magnificence in this life by sitting and thinking your way into it. That's never going to be believable to your brain. You see it by watching it come out of you. You do this by choosing to water and cultivate your gifts, and then not to keep them to yourself. When it's demonstrated in your outside reality, you can't not see the magnificence. It's not the type of gifts we get given that make us successful or not. It's how well we apply the gifts that we have. We double down well on what is already our unfair advantage. And we all have them. And thus, it weirdly makes it a perfectly fair system. The universe wants to see you bring your stuff to the table, and when you do, it lines up people and situations for you that provide the complementary gifts to make your specific magic happen. That's the easy part for it. But because of the fact that we are gifted free will in this life, it has to wait for your cue. We show up as our real self, and it will meet you there. Your essence is a frequency you give off that advertises you wherever you go. And people are feeling it even if they're not able to fully articulate what they're feeling. We can sniff when someone is in their lane. And that's the part behind every person who is shiny, magnetic, and authentic. If you think about all the people you admire or are drawn to, it's that energy of fully backing who they are and running with it that they have in common, not their specific gifts. That's the intoxicating mix we can't get enough of. So it matters less about what your essence is. You don't have to judge it, and to be honest, you were never put in charge of judging it. For each one of us, that objective or purpose is radically different to each other's. And the universe has such a bigger view of the intent that we can't even see it if we try. But what we can know is how we accomplish it, which is to do a good job of thoroughly marking our true essence on life, situation by situation. We don't have to figure out the perfect way to be and then try to be that in order to be successful, happy, and loved. We have to see what's inside our toolbox that we arrived with and then use those. We don't know the why, but we know the how. All the things that come easy to you, the traits, talents, and passions that you can't explain, are not by accident, and neither are the things that don't. There is a way that this will all add up and the dots will connect, no matter how unconnected they might currently seem. Life's magic, aka all the right place, right times, right people, and opportunities, all activate each time you decide to focus on your things, without questioning their validity or potential. Every lane can have stratospheric potential if taken all the way, given all the faith and trust, step by faithful step. The magic of human design is it is a loving mirror that came to remind you of who you suspected you might be all along, and the permission slip to just go be that. So it's time to ask yourself, what are you naturally inclined to do and be good at? And why do you judge it? Why do you believe you have more chance of being successful if you go into banking rather than bird watching? And can you see that's just an outdated collective belief that will only get disproved if you and we dare to bet on our essence? Work with your inner opponent. In order to give each person the best chance to grow into their best selves, the universe gives us a companion tasked with pushing us towards exactly that. And it plants it inside each of us so that we can never leave it behind. Wherever we go, however far from ourselves and our alignment we go, our inner opponent is always there for us. Your inner opponent, which also gets called the ego, got told the memo of who you came here to be, and is instructed with telling you to do the opposite. To push you, cajole you, and very cleverly tempt you to keep going in the opposite. You see, without resistance or opposite, you have no get up and go or impetus to even move towards something different. If we were never fearful, reactive, or carrying so much stuff that isn't even what we really are, if change was easy, well, we'd never unlock the magic contained in that journey of transforming. It's when we overcome something, when we've achieved it, earned it, that we feel that higher fulfillment, of feeling, wow, I did this. I'm proud of who I am. I love being me. This is the main reason we come here, to come into our version of a wonderful human that was designed for us before we came here. So part of what the light, the Creator, does is give you a sparring partner that is tasked with perturbing you, bothering you, and making you feel uncomfortable enough to make you want to grab the steering wheel instead of let the car keep going down the same road. When the road that used to reward us one day gives us less reward, or something comes up that seems even better, the inner opponent is going to come in and say, "It's okay, stay as you are. Here are all the reasons why you should feel afraid to do something. Here are the reasons you need to stay safe and stay small." So right when there is a chance to come into the next level of self, the opponent swoops in and gives you a choice, so that choosing the light is not the default setting, but something you earned. It makes the choice look hard because it gets in your ear so smartly you really think it's your authentic voice. And your inner opponent is not actually evil or dark. It's actually the light in disguise, pushing you, egging you on to choose light for yourself. If life was as obvious as you seeing what light is and just being given it constantly, there would never be any you transforming involved. If there was only obvious light, it would be easy, but also pointless. There has to be the opposite of light to give you the sovereignty and thus power to make that choice yourself towards your best self. The opportunity contained every time your inner opponent comes up is to see and stretch yourself into a new way that reflects your good consciousness and your essence more. So never feel bad about having an inner opponent. It's your catalyst. It holds all the keys you will ever need to unlock in life. And the keys are the only solution to anything you want to create or become. If you want to add anything good, the reason it's not there yet is because you need to overcome something in you that the universe is now making feel outdated and expired. Everything you could ever desire to be or have, all the blessings that were ever allocated to you, are already swirling around your aura, just waiting to come in. It's all here, honoring your cues. Every time you decide to do what your real self would have you do or think or say, every time you overcome that opponent, you unlock something. That's why they talk about being a match for something, because your aura, your energetic billboard, can now communicate your real self to your blessings, and they are free to land. Your inner opponent is so clever that it sounds like your automatic voice. It's who you've told yourself you are all these years. You might think you don't even have another choice than to believe it's the truth of your life. And realizing that you do is the biggest step to breaking its hold over you. The choice is, when the fear or the anxiety or the people-pleasing, any feeling that feels constricted, smallening, or limiting comes up, to just not automatically accept it as you thinking them and those being real, but to see it as that opponent, a visitor that you can have a conversation with, one you get to question and challenge. Life is anything but small and limited, because the Creator is anything but small and limited. So the feelings of smallness and limitation are how you always know it's the opponent coloring the situation. Your soul picks and creates the exact conditioning it's going to need to help with the solution of the opponent. So you come in having already chosen the ego beliefs that you are going to create for yourself. If 10 people are witnessing the same things, our different karmas have different tendencies towards ego beliefs we need to overcome. So we'll filter any situation we see through a lens that will feed our opponent. So it can go, "See, you can't take that risk. See, I told you no one likes you." So even though we think that what we're observing is informing our inner fears, it's actually our inner fears almost abusing the outside evidence to justify its stories. Until the day you decide to go. My success in this life is not about fixating so much on outside reality with the belief that if I create some guarantee and safety and outcome with it, all will be good. My success comes from realizing how I see reality is what needs to be constantly tended to. And every time I up-level that, success, happiness, fulfillment, or purpose is inevitable. The only use for the outside pain points and irritation are here to serve your inside change. And then to reflect back a different reality every time you do. It's a wonderful feedback loop. This is the rule of the game for as long as we're here. Smallness, limitation, and fear have to feel like realistic enough possibilities so that choosing light is the hero's journey. So know this, the light and the opponent are always dancing together, co-creating this tension that makes you a participant in a game rather than just living a passive existence. And if you want to go one deeper, the opponent is the light, just in a very real feeling, believable disguise, so that it could let you achieve your wish in this life, to become so magnificent that you remember you are a piece of the light too. Every moment of your reality is an opportunity, an invitation to overcome the tempting voice of that opponent, so you see the light at work in you, coming out into your life a bit more than before. And this is that process of that remembering. Accept your humanness. You've heard people say before that we are God in human form. So we sign up to reach and stretch for all the magnificence we're capable of drawing down to this earth, becoming amazing people, and yet still being people. Our ego will tempt us with this fantasy that if we just achieve X or Y or Z, we'll be uncriticizable, never have stuff to work on, never be uncomfortable, or we won't have flaws. But for as long as we're here, we will never escape the fundamental aspect of being human, which is sometimes not being perfectly good, having fears and flaws and misbehaving. This doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. This stuff is embedded in you to show you the portals through which you can transform. You have to see yourself in action to even spot what your next level is. In order to grow, you have to be able to see your stuff, and instead of shaming it or hiding it, to decide to like yourself even with all those things, because you have kindness and understanding for the starting blocks that you got tasked with. To fully face where you stand right now and have both a voice that invites you to do better and a voice that seeks to gently understand the innocent reasons why you may be and do how you currently do. Our ego will tell us it's just you who grapples with these flaws and fears, and that other people you look up to are there because they don't have flaws and fears. Wrong. Imagine someone winning an Oscar. What follows suit is a fear that you'll never make a better movie in your life. Imagine a person who has grown their company to 20,000 employees. They'll naturally wonder if they can maintain it. Achieving superhumanness is not a good plan for escaping the discomfort you feel of being human. The only plan is to change your relationship to the discomfort. You have fears and flaws not because you are weak or unworthy or not as strong as others. You have fears and flaws because those are the very opportunities and openings through which you get the chance to grow out of something into something new. It's comforting to realize that we're all in that together. It's written in the package we signed up for, but therefore that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. In fact, you're winning if you're one of the people that admits you do have flaws and can be totally okay with them. The great secret is you can never truly change if you don't bring the human side along. If you don't see the full picture of where you stand, you can't create a full picture you desire later. We have to practice being able to look at anything instead of being so scared at what we might find if we look. It's only through this that we can even change our ego or persona, by addressing things that it tells you not to so that it can maintain its story. But every time you look, you break the ego story. and then you are free. The world conditions us by saying that even one whiff of imperfection makes us imperfect, and thus unworthy, unlovable, unsuccessful, or incapable. Therefore, we must do everything possible to not let that stuff show itself. We've been taught that flaws single you out, when in reality, no one doesn't have them. We all share them. Maybe you tend more towards jealousy and someone else people-pleasing, but there's a beautiful equality in that it's all created to be overcome, none worse than others. Just that we share the load of all the spectrum of humanness, and we are tasked with changing the ones we have. Negative behaviors are not personal. They are not here to character assassinate yourself or others with. Think about if everyone was already perfect. We would never have the opportunity to learn to love unconditionally. If you were already flawless, you couldn't love yourself despite anything, no matter what. That's why we come here to an imperfect earth, to love anyway. Because needing perfection in order to give love is very conditional. This process doesn't change no matter how our life looks. So instead of telling ourselves that we need to get rid of it, we need to change our relationship to it so that it actually can elevate us. You have to be able to own that 20,000 person company and be okay with the fact that you might statistically not show up as your best self in front of one of them at least one time. You have to understand that you might act unfairly to one of them because you felt angry, and then look for the innocent reasons that the vulnerable human in you felt the need to lash out. You can allow yourself to do bad things without thinking you are a bad person. And those bad things often come from very innocent motivations, like your inside self feeling afraid or wanting to defend itself or protect itself. You have to find the innocent motivation and go, I get your reason behind that. We want to get to a place where we can say it's okay. You're not tarnished forever because you simply were willing to be okay seeing all parts of yourself. Trusting your innate goodness doesn't get disproved. And then use the looking of that as intel to feed your transformation so that you know how to be a better representation of that inner purity going forward. Holding your own hand through this journey will help you demonstrate to yourself how okay you are, how capable and sovereign you are of creating your own better self and better life. And it starts with this intention. Let there be nothing about me that I can't say to me and not be okay with. Stating your real state, as it is today, is the only place from which you can truly choose differently. Once you give yourself understanding for your innocent motives, you can work with that inside part of you to change the outside behavior. And if you came here with part of your curriculum being about controlling your anger, the light will use those employees to bring up situations that will make you feel anger, so that you can use those situations to shut down that anger, if even a little bit more than yesterday. Accepting your humanness is the only way you can get a self-love that is unconditional, because you have to be able to scoop yourself up regardless of what facets are surfacing. If you shut them off, you can't work with the opportunities and blessings that might be contained within them. If you leave them behind or try to forget about them, you can't use them by transforming them into something better that you would get to keep. As you grow, the part of you that is strong, wise, resilient, and knowing will be more than able to carry the scared self along for the ride. But for as long as you rise on this ride, you will always see more parts of yourself that make you a little unproud. The key here is to detach your shortcomings from your shame. You signed up for this ride where you were half oh so extraordinary and half oh so not, so you could have the full starting board that every single person was equally given, so that you could choose fully how much of the extraordinary stuff you want to personify or embody, and how much more of the good stuff you can unlock that hides in the doors of the challenging stuff. We all get the same size deck, different flavors. So the fact that you will have unpleasant stuff is embedded in this journey you signed up for. From here, there are only two choices. Convince yourself you have none, and be talked into insecurity and chaotic situations, or realize you have them, not as a part of who your soul is deep down, but as temporary travel mates that are actually here to make your trip even sweeter.